actually face down the deep state, actually speak truth to power, then vote for somebody who's going to speak the truth to you. That's what I'm going to do as a candidate in this race. That's what I will do as your president for the next 8 years. And once again, we will have a government that finally tells the people the truth again. We, the people, we can handle the truth. We demand the truth. We require the truth. That's the vision that won us the American Revolution. That's what reunited us after the Civil War. That's what won us 2 world wars and the Cold War. That is what still gives hope to the free world. And if we can revive that dream over group identity and victimhood and grievance, then nobody in the world, not a nation, not a corporation, not a virus, not China, is going to defeat us. That's what American exceptionalism is all about. That is what we will revive to save this great country. Thank you for coming out today, guys. God bless you and your families. May God bless our United States of America. I want to open this up. Let us not hold back here. I'm going to sit across the table from Xi Jinping. Give me the hard ones, guys.
One of the biggest problems.
Sorry about that.
One of the biggest problems in our nation is the media. It's controlling the public ideas.
Totally.
What will you do to, and Trump had a terrible time with the media.
Yep.
And that's where the deep state has been allowed to grow and develop.
Yep.
Is because of that. What are your plans to correct that?
Two things. One is, we got to have the spine to show up and win. I don't know if you guys see me face off with Don Lemon. Nobody else was going on CNN as a Republican. I said, let me do it. We faced off. I educated him about the Second Amendment. Told him about the fact that black Americans didn't enjoy their civil rights until after they secured their Second Amendment rights. That made his head explode because to him, civil rights good, Second Amendment bad, chemical reaction ensues, he explodes. He lost his mind, but then he lost his job because he lost his mind so badly that they had to, he preached to me and said some things that even they couldn't keep, right? So part of this, you got to show up. I mean, I go to college campuses. I'll go to left-wing media, right-wing media, no-wing media. You got to show up. We can't go in our shell and hide. And I think that's something Republicans actually do a little bit. We'll preach about free speech to a bunch of people who agree with us. Well, there's no courage in that.
But Biden wasn't able to stay in the basement and still win.
Well, that's a whole separate story. I mean, tech rigged it. So that's the second point I was going to make. The last bastion to protect us against that broken media is a free and open internet. Actually, that's the backstop. So that's why I'm such a hardliner on preventing any incursion on the freedom of the internet. So what's happening right now is people call it big tech censorship. We're always a half step behind, guys. Don't call it big tech censorship. That's not what it is. It is government tech censorship. The government is using these tech companies to do through the back door what government could not itself get done through the front door under the Constitution. That's the truth. That's illegal behavior. So I've said as your next president, anytime a government official has threatened a private company to do something the government couldn't do directly, we will publish it. Put the sunlight on there. And then anybody that's illegal behavior will hold any of them accountable. It's like Fauci using our taxpayer dollars to through the back door fund gain-of-function research. He should be prosecuted for that. Well, the same goes for any government actor that's using backdoor mechanisms to avert the Constitution. But securing that free and open internet, I mean, Elon did this at Twitter. One company, he's called it the Twitter files. I'm releasing the state action files across the entire economy. Protect that free and open internet. That's the backstop against the media. Now, the threats here don't just come from the left. I mean, you got the likes of Nikki Haley in this race, who said that in order to use a social media account, you have to use government-issued ID tied to your social media account or your internet profile. Hell no. That's not how it works in the United States of America. George Washington and Thomas Paine and John James and James Madison, these people, Alexander Hamilton, the co-authors of the Federalist Papers, they'd be rolling over in their graves. The freedom of speech means, actually, these people wrote under pseudonym. Those pamphlets on your desk are modeled after Thomas Paine, who helped start the American Revolution. So the threats are not just coming from the left. They're coming from, in many cases, within our own party, too. Now, there's a reason why Larry Fink, and you think about the founder of LinkedIn. LinkedIn censored me. But the founder of LinkedIn is a guy called Reid Hoffman. They're propping up other Republican candidates, too. Part of their point is if Biden's not going to win, or whichever puppet the Democratic side isn't going to win, we might as well have a Republican Trojan horse that accomplishes what we couldn't. So it's not a Republican versus Democrat point. It's deeper than that. It's about standing for the ideals enshrined in the Constitution. And today, the free and open internet is the best protection we have against that media overreach. Right there, sir.
This is still kind of raw. Four people in a row in Colorado decided what 1.3 million people should be able to do in Colorado.
It's sick.
Now, the question is, do you support red states like Florida and Texas eliminating Biden from the race?
No is the answer to that, because that's just, I mean, then we're on a path to national divorce. I support, I'll tell you what I did do. I mean, everybody else gives cheap talk, and I don't know if you guys followed this. I heard about this the other night between two campaign events when I was on the bus ride. It was about 20 minutes from one event to the other. I put out a video immediately making a commitment, and I stand by the commitment. If Colorado isn't going to include Trump on the GOP primary ballot, then I will withdraw from the Colorado GOP primary ballot. And I called on Ron DeSantis and Nikki Haley and Chris Christie to do the same thing, because that's how you nullify their decision. Then they can't interfere. So if that's how Colorado wants to roll, then we're not doing Colorado anymore. And then that'll force, then you know what happened? The Colorado Republican Party replied to my statement saying that, well, if they did that, I wouldn't have to do that because they might switch to a caucus that avoids the primary system. But it takes a leader to stand up to do it. And what disappoints me, that disappoints the heck out of me, is the other Republicans, they danced around and they didn't say, they're not going to make that commitment. They said, well, we need to collect the delegates. Well, what's the point of winning some primary if the entire system is rigged in the first place, right? So we got to stand for what's right. And I respect Trump because more than the others, he did roll over that log, and we saw what crawled out. But we got to go to the next level. I'm bringing the pesticide, okay? I think we're taking this to the next level, and that's actually what it's going to take. I'll go here, and then we'll go to the back.
This is a tough question.
That's allowed.
You talk about doing the deep state. Everything you said, I love. I love everything you're saying. But I can't imagine the deep state rolling over and playing dead when you try to fire 50% of their people. How are you going to handle that?
Yeah. Move quiet, move fast, and bring a chainsaw. Don't bring a chisel, you bring the chainsaw. So I'll tell you what day one could look like. And we're looking at the right way to implement this is day one. If you're a federal bureaucrat and your social security number ends in an odd number, you're out. If it's an even number, you're in. On day two, that's just step one. On day two, the federal government's half its size. And the sun will still rise in the east and set in the west. Not a thing is going to break. Okay, so then we bring the chisel out after that. And I say it has to work this way because this is where they duped Trump. They duped him. They said you can't fire those civil service employees because of civil service protections. Read the law, man. That does not apply to mass layoffs. They only apply to individual firings. Mass firings are what I'm bringing to D.C., and I'm bringing it fast. So will we get sued? Yeah, we will. We'll take us to the Supreme Court. The current Supreme Court agrees with me 6-3, and I give Trump a lot of credit for that. Now, the current Supreme Court agrees 6-3. That means it's now codified in judicial precedent. So the next U.S. president who comes after me won't have his hands tied in the same way. So that's how you drive change on the time scale of history. That's how you get this done. And it takes a president now who, yes, has sharp elbows, can break things, comes in from the outside. I bring that. Trump brings some measure of that. I bring that to the debate stage. I'll bring it to Washington, D.C. No problem with that. But it takes also a president who knows and understands the law and the Constitution in this country. And those two things don't usually go together. Think about that. Right, you have the business guy, sharp-elbowed, entrepreneur type. You got the legal scholar, academic type. Those two don't usually go together. And that's why I'm in this race. My faith teaches me that God gives each of us our unique gifts, that he works through us. And it is our moral duty to use the gifts that we are given to do the right thing in the short time that we are given. That's what I believe. That's why I'm in this race. That's why I think it has to be somebody like me that steps up to get this done. We'll go to the gentleman in the back, and then we'll come right up here.
Well, you first sure came to the right place for truth. We're in the population center of the United States, the center of American brains, where there's the largest group practice of transcendental meditation. That Oprah Winfrey did a special, actually 5 shows on, calling it America's most amazing town. So I wonder if on your way out, you'll see, if you're going north, 2 golden domes where thousands of people have practiced transcendental meditation, which is by people of all different religions. It's not a religious-based...
Are we going north, actually? Do you know if we're going north next?
It's like a mile from here.
It's like a mile from here? Let's see if we have some time. Let's see if we have some time before we go. Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
Over 300 studies published in peer-reviewed scientific journals.
I appreciate that, man.
The relaxation response, basically.
What's your name, sir?
Rick
I
Shad.
feel like we might have met before.
Yeah, the last
On Saturday.
Oh, good to see you guys. Yeah, good to see you. Thank you. Now, that was nice.
MIU, and
Awesome.
I came here for truth.
Thank you.
Truth is within, and we experience through a non-religious meditation technique.
I appreciate that.
Everybody.
Thank you. If we're going north, you have my word, we'll drive by there. Thank you very much. And if not, we'll come back. Thank you. I appreciate you sharing that with me, sir. Thank you very much.
Really want to thank you for your commitment to speak truth to the deep state and to speak truth to American citizens. And I'm a veteran of the Vietnam War and the Cold War. They lied to us about Vietnam. They lied to us about the Cold War. They lied to us about 9/11.
Yes.
They lied to us about the Iraq War. They're lying to us about Ukraine. They're lying to us about what's going on in Israel. And I heard you on one of the podcasts the other night saying that you're looking for a diplomatic solution in Israel, and they should take care of their own business. And I appreciate the fact that you would like to end the Ukraine war. I hope it ends before the inauguration, because it's gone on too long now, and they're lying to us about every component of it. I really appreciate your willingness to pardon the J6 protesters. It was a sham. They got shafted, and they should all be released. Well, one of my concerns is something you said this summer. You said that you would pardon Hunter Biden because you wanted to move forward.
No,
that's not true?
No, it's not. It's this is what I learned about politics, man. It is such a dirty sport. It's ugly. You think it's going to be bad before you get in, and then it's a disaster. I was the first person to point out that actually our sending of $200 billion to Ukraine is actually a repayment on a bribe paid to Hunter Biden by Ukraine. It's not a coincidence. The very country that paid him $5 million is the one sending $200 billion in the other direction. I think a lot of the Republicans redirect a focus in that direction rather than some lame gun charge or whatever nonsense they were talking about before. It's deflection decided to miss the point. I think it's because of my advocacy. But I'll tell you what, this is lift the curtain on politics, teach you how this works. So I said I would pardon Donald Trump on day one in office. I would pardon peaceful J6 protesters. I'd pardon Julian Assange, who's sitting in a foreign prison. Right? Chelsea Manning, who leaked the documents, got her sentence commuted by President Obama because she's transgender. I don't even think Chelsea Manning's transgender. I think she's smart. She claimed to be transgender. I'm losing track. It's one of the. But regardless, they did it because that's a politically favored class of being trans. But Julian Assange is rotting in a foreign prison. So I go down that list, and then there's this. Just teaches you how the media works. They said, well, Vivek, why are you going to pardon these people? I said, because they've been victims of politically motivated persecution through prosecution. They said, but isn't that, you're just saying that because you're Republican? I said, I don't know what Julian Assange's politics are. I stand by it. They said, man, you're just saying that because you're just picking Republicans. So I said, no. I'll pardon anybody in this country who was a victim of a politically motivated persecution through prosecution. Anybody. That was the end of the video. And then they just said, well, would that include Hunter Biden if he was the victim of a politically motivated persecution through prosecution? I said, it includes every American. They published a headline the next day. Vivek says he would pardon Hunter Biden. And it's just, it's the Republican primary game because this reporter's in the pocket of some super PAC supporting some other candidate, just the way the game's played. But on principle, yes, but is that a politically motivated persecution? No, it's not. It's getting to the truth of a bribe of how they sold off our foreign policy. And so if the courts support that fact is actually true, he will spend time in jail on my watch. So that's the answer. Thank you. Thank you.
I have a big concern about how much control BlackRock and Vanguard have. I mean, honestly, some of these foreign wars that we have, I mean, can we take our power back as American people from these people?
Does anybody know what's your name, sir?
Dwayne.
Dwayne, I like your hat too. Do you know, you familiar with my background before I ran for president? Okay. Because it's all about this topic, actually. Anybody here heard about BlackRock, or does that mean anything to good? Good, all right. Or the ESG, is that, okay. So my career, I started as a biotech CEO. I developed a number of medicines. Some are life-saving medicines that are approved today. After George Floyd died, there's a demand that I make a statement on behalf of BLM. I refuse to do it. It generates a ton of controversy. I have to then make what I believe was the right decision then, because I want to speak my mind freely. I stepped down from my job as a CEO. I wrote my first book, Woke Inc., about the stakeholder capitalism, politicization of corporate America. But then I said, I want to fix this. And I actually wrote a second book about this called Capitalist Punishment. It's about the ESG movement, about how BlackRock and other firms are using your money to vote for policies in corporate America's boardrooms using your 401k account that most of us disagree with, and that don't advance our best financial interests. That's a scam of a generation. These are the most powerful companies in human history. BlackRock, State Street, and Vanguard manage collectively over $22 trillion. It's more than the U.S. GDP in the hands of those three firms. More powerful than the Dutch East India Company. Even they couldn't control what you say or think. So my most recent career before running for president wasn't just writing those books. I started a firm called Strive that competes directly against BlackRock, State Street, and Vanguard, launched its first fund last August, and in the first year crossed over $1 billion in assets under management, which is twice as fast as it took JP Morgan to get to the same place, and put much of this ESG movement on the back foot. Now BlackRock, again, it's always the left is always one step ahead. So they've stopped using the word ESG in response to basically competition. But they call it sustainable investing now. So it's the same thing, but under a different label. So how are we going to fix this? Some of this has to be through the market. It's going to take people like me. I think people like Elon Musk on Twitter. People like myself fighting the ESG movement in the private sector. But the head of the snake is still the deep state in the federal government. It's not the invisible hand of the market, it's the invisible fist of government. So Biden passed some pro-ESG rules that say investment managers no longer have to be bound to the standard of investing for profit. No, that changes. We're going to rescind those rules. California, New York, the blue state pension funds are using our money as government actors to tell those firms that they have to do these things. That changes on my watch, too. So anytime, I talked about this for tech companies earlier, talk about it for financial institutions now, anytime a government actor is using a private actor to do its dirty work through the back door, that's illegal and unconstitutional behavior. That ends on my watch. That's how we regain our sovereignty as the United States of America. I'm glad you asked that. You may even be interested in some of those books. If you're asking that question, this has been my passion for what brought me in. We'll take you last. Oh my God, so many questions. Got a nurse here who's off work. I can't. Okay, we'll give you the mic and then we'll go. I'll go rapid fire.
We have a lot of veterans in this country, and yes, and some here. My husband, my son-in-law, but we have so many veterans, and their benefits and the way that they're treated is horrible.
Yeah.
So how can that change when these others come in and they get everything and the veterans are homeless?
That's what I call America Last policy. First is those people aren't going to be coming in. Use our military to secure our own border, seal our southern border, stop federal funding for sanctuary cities, stop foreign aid for Central American countries, end birthright citizenship for the kids of illegal migrants to this country, and actually deport anybody who's in this country illegally. Full stop, period. Don't apologize. Our America Last policy, even the Republican Party wants to cut veterans benefits and cut Social Security to ship more money to Ukraine. Not on my watch, we're done with that. Comprehensive veterans policy that I've released, okay?
Mr. Vivek,
Yep.
Why are our borders still open? 14,000.
They're open because they want to ultimately stuff the ballot box with people who are going to make for a permanent Democratic majority.
Is it
That's the answer.
When, not if, that we're going to have more 9/11s?
That's a hard question, and I fear the answer to your question is yes. I can't lie to you. I think that our homeland is more vulnerable now than it's ever been, but the best we can do is the day I take office, we're done with that. We will deport anybody who's in this country illegally, mass deportations, and we will seal that southern border. And I just want to address the question about national pride in our veterans. That should be the last benefit we ever touch or cut. We have comprehensive veterans policy. I want the VA to operate like a company. A company says the shareholders determine the pay of the CEO. Well, I think the veterans should be determining the pay of who runs the VA. That'll actually make them responsive to our own veterans. And if we're not standing up for our veterans, we don't have a country left. Young people aren't joining the military because they're not stupid. If this is how you treat veterans on the back end, why the hell would I join on the front end? That changes on my watch, and if this is your husband, sir, thank you, too, for your service. I appreciate the many veterans who are already in this room. We'll take it briefly, sir.
The VA stands on a judicial principle that the king does no wrong.
Yep, exactly.
That's exactly what
Accountability in the VA.
there is no accountability.
Well, that's what I say. Accountable to the shareholders who are the veterans.
They have a union that spends
Yep.
millions and millions on
And-
holding these.
And believe me, my mom was a geriatric psychiatrist, but she worked in the VA treating patients with PTSD. My wife is a throat surgeon, but she's interfaced with the VA. We understand this.
I was turned away for 3 years from
It's
my
sick.
VA. 3 years because I couldn't put something in front of my face. And I still have yet to see my doctor at the VA. 3 years. I hope you can fix it.
We can fix. That's what hurts me. This is fixable. The country that put a man on the moon can get this done. You shouldn't have to drive 200 miles. Sometimes we have to drive 150 plus miles to get to the nearest VA. You should be able to get community-based medical care near you and have the VA system basically pay for it. That's what we actually need, is stand for our veterans. Decompression buffers when you come back from combat before you thrust them back into normal civilian life. That brings down the rate of PTSD. Let's get medical choice for our veterans. They're turning to fentanyl and suicide. Deschedule Schedule 1 therapeutics through the VA. I mean, now that's spicy for the Republican Party. But I stand for actually the people who have served this country. We have to serve them back. Young man right here.
Mr. Vivek, in the first debate you mentioned that you were wanting to raise voting age to 25.
Well, I'll tell you how it works, actually. What I believe is every 18-year-old should have to pass the same civics test that every immigrant has to pass in order to become a voting citizen of this country. Right, so that's what I mean. I think every 18-year-old should. I met a 10-year-old girl who was at a pizza ranch last week who got 100 out of 100 on that test. She's 10 years old. If she can do that in Iowa, every high school senior should be able to do the same thing.
I agree with you, but if elected, do you have a plan to potentially get rid of the selective service?
Yes.
It seems kind
Yes.
of counter.
Yeah. No, that's all part of the same plan. It's a great question. You guys are getting some good questions here. Absolutely. And the selective service only applies to men, but not women. Forget that. So this is instead of that.
Amen.
This is actually civic knowledge as a duty to the country. I love that. Right here. I've got so many good questions. I'm trying to go rapid.
You need to come back because we have too many questions. And look, people understand. You know, people see.
I'm a nurse too, and COVID. Would you?
And the nurse right here working here. You guys are doing service to this country as well.
You need to come back.
We will come back.
You know, Harish, you have thousands and thousands of students there.
That's right. We will come back. I love this place. We're going to all 99 counties more than twice a piece, and so I appreciate
We are
that.
talking the truth.
That's what this country needs more of.
And 50 years in healthcare. I'm an
A lot of healthcare.
I'm an OT. I'm an occupational therapist.
Thank you.
I guess I'm going to be honest. I've been a lifelong Democrat, but I chose not to be vaccinated 2 years ago, and now everything is falling apart. I think I'm probably the only healthcare worker in this town who's not vaccinated. What about Pfizer? The
I'll tell you
big,
exactly.
the pharmacies, the Monsanto. What are
So I'll tell you, when I give an answer at the 4th presidential debate about this, I can't make this stuff up. It's interesting. I learned this only 2 weeks ago after the debate. It was streaming on Rumble. When I gave the answer to this, they said the program will return in 4 minutes. I'm not kidding. They cut off the stream when I said what I said here. This is a third rail. Right now, there's a special blanket of immunity for vaccine manufacturers from being sued for vaccine injury. That doesn't apply to any other class. I have said I will repeal that. And I stand by that promise, and we will see it through to get justice in this country. That's the answer. If they tried to censor me, we say hell no to that. That's exactly right. Sir, we'll give you the final word.
So, are you aware of what the Ukraine was called 1,000 years ago? What name did that country go by?
No.
Okay.
Russia.
No. It was called Khazaria, and it was
Khazaria.
surrounded by all of their surroundings,
Yeah.
invaded, and tried to change their way of being. This is all payback for that. I gave the details from Veterans Today magazine to your aide with the cowboy hat.
All right.
I got it.
There he is. Thank you. Thank you very much. And I'll just say one word.
It's very, very relevant.
Good. I'll take a look at that, sir. I appreciate that. I come back to the point of...
Make sure that next year's election isn't.
Oh, great question. We got to close on this. We can't. I mean, I want to... I would have loved my answer to your question to be no, that we're not at risk of another attack on our own soil, but our borders is open. I can't tell you that. I'd love to tell you that we're going to have a completely even playing field in 2024? I can't tell you that. That'd be a lie. Look at what they're doing in Colorado already. So here's the only answer. I'll tell you what I'll do when I get there. Single-day voting on Election Day, national holiday, paper ballots, government-issued ID, and English as the sole language that appears on a ballot. That's not too much to ask. That's not controversial. That's common sense. That's what I'll get done. But I have to win this election. We have to win this election to make it so. That's why this has to be a landslide. This cannot be 50.1. It doesn't work. We're skating on thin ice. We don't have a country left if that happens. I'm the only candidate in this race that can actually deliver a landslide moral mandate, like what Reagan did in 1980. And I know it would have sounded ridiculous for him to say in December 1979 as it does for me to say today. But I will deliver you. You make me the nominee. I deliver you a landslide by bringing young people along. We're bringing them along in droves in this race, in a way the Republican Party's normally written off. Libertarians, liberty-minded America First patriots who haven't traditionally participated in Iowa caucus.
Constitutionalists.
Constitutionalists, absolutely. I don't care what your label is. If you're pro-American, we're on the same team. That's why I'm going to win the Iowa caucus, actually. We are going to win the Iowa caucus. Most of our supporters are not even polled. Some of them haven't even gone to a caucus before. So there was a shock coming on January 15th. But the same reason I win the Iowa caucus on January 15th will be why we win this general election in a landslide. And a landslide minus some shenanigans is still a decisive win. That's the best we can do. We're riding on broken rails. Bring a freight train that is unstoppable on that broken rails. Then you come down and lay the proper tracks. That's what it's going to take. And, you know, but just by show of hands, you know, how many of you, my hands up, were big supporters of President Trump in the past? Great. That's my sense as well. I respect his accomplishments. He kept us out of war. He grew the economy.
Failed the VA.
Well, I mean, I could pick on a lot of things, but I'm not going to be the candidate who Monday morning quarterbacks something. Everybody's imperfect, and that's what the.
He fixed it. He didn't
But
fix the VA.
well, you know what? Or you could talk about your issue, vaccination, right? You could tell me you could go straight down the list, but that's not my point. My point is this: he went as far as he was going to go. We now need somebody with fresh legs from the next generation to take our agenda to the next level. I said it before, I'll say it again. America First does not belong to Donald Trump. It does not belong to me. It belongs to us, to we the people. This is bigger than one man. And I think when we see it that way, I don't even think they're going to let the guy get anywhere within spitting distance of the White House. Think, people. Right? What do you think? I mean, what do you see? They're giving you every clue you can from Colorado on down. Don't play into that game. Let's go the new direction. Take our movement, same principles, same ideals, standing for the Constitution, but actually see it through. It takes somebody who knows the Constitution to be able to swear an oath to it and keep it. I don't say that facetiously. I don't think most people who have sworn an oath to the Constitution in this country have actually read it. Right? You got to understand what you're actually standing for.
You're going to need about 24 of these guys.
Oh, this is just my policy advisor. Advising on keeping our family safe policy, but I'll tell you, in all seriousness. And you know what? I'll say a word about this before we close. Are you guys interested? Because it is my faith that brings me into this journey. You guys want? Can I share a word about that with you guys? It's a free country, but I want to. You guys deserve to know really everything about us. I'm Hindu, right? That's different than most people who have run for U.S. president in the past.
Not different here.
Oh, no, maybe not even here. Maybe not here, apparently. But we share the same value set in common. My faith teaches me there's one true God. He puts us here for a purpose. It's our moral duty to realize that purpose. We're equal because God resides in each of us, even though He works through us in different ways. My parents taught us family's the foundation, marriage is sacred, that there's more to this life than just this life, but the eternal life. When I read the 10 Commandments for the first time in 9th grade at St. Xavier High School where I went, it didn't feel like I was reading it for the first time. There's one true God. Don't take His name in vain. Observe the Sabbath. Honor your parents. Don't kill. Don't lie. Don't cheat. Don't steal. Don't commit adultery. Don't covet. These are the values I grew up in. They are the values that this nation was founded on. So some people will ask me, a woman, a good-hearted woman, asked me earlier today, she said, but I want to support you, but it's difficult for me because you're not a Christian. And I appreciate that honesty. I told her what I'll tell you is the easy thing for me to do would have been to, shorten my name and claim to be a Christian. I'm not going to do that. I want to tell you who I am and what we stand for, but we share the same values. So am I going to be the president who spreads Christianity through this country? No, I'm not running for pastor. I am running to be president, and we share those values in common. Swear an oath to the Constitution, including the First Amendment, which guarantees religious liberty in this country, which we've seen an assault on, including an assault on Christianity. So I think I will be the president who better stands for those values than any traditional politician who's come before. To make faith and family and patriotism and hard work cool again, actually, for the next generation. That's my job. I'm 38. I want to reach that next generation, revive our sense of pride, revive who we are as Americans, take our shared vision for America first to the next level. And am I going to stand for those shared values? You're darn right I am. Am I going to stand for the Constitution, the right to speak freely and worship freely? You're darn right I am. And if you all do your part, I promise you, my family and I, we are going to do ours to make sure, not in some cheesy politician way, but in a true way, to make sure that our country's best days are actually still ahead of us. I'm going to ask you for your help to do it. The system does not want me to do this. They have an allergic reaction to my presence in this race. The Super PAC puppet masters want this decided through the TV ads and otherwise, but they don't get to choose. And I don't report to them. I report to you. The choice is yours. 15 minutes of your time, maybe it's up to 30 minutes of your time on the Iowa caucus, January 15th, to save this country. If you've come before, great. If you haven't, please come too. And I'm going to ask for a donation from you. It's the most important donation I'll ever ask you for. It's not a donation of your money. It is a donation of your time and effort between now and then to tell 100 people in this community what we talked about, to bring them out to the Iowa caucus on January 15th. And if you all do your part, I win this Iowa caucus, I'm your next president. If I'm your next president, we revive the heart of this country. So yes, if you do your part, we will do ours to make sure that this is still the country where no matter who you are, we'll look our kids in the eye. How old is the little one in the back?
7 months.
7 months. My younger one is about 17 months, and I remember that like that was yesterday. We want to look them in the eye and tell them and mean it that this is the nation where no matter who you are, or where your parents came from, or what your skin color is, or how long your last name is, in my kid's case, that you will get ahead in this country with your own hard work, your own commitment, your own dedication. And that you know what? You are free to speak your mind at every step of the way. That is the American dream. That is what we are running to. And with your help, that is what we will revive to save this great country. Thank you for coming out today, guys. God bless you. God bless your families. And may God bless our United States of America. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my gosh. I love this. Merry Christmas. I'm glad you have it.
My son's going to love it.
You did? Was it my wife? Oh. You're going to take this. You're going to show gentlemen you're doing something. I'm proud of you. My wife would be so. I'm proud of you. Thank you for your service.
Yeah. Anybody, we'd love to get you to sign a caucus card so we can get more information to you. So thank you all for being here. It's 30 seconds of your life. We'll get this done. Sign our caucus card, our sign-in sheet. We need to get you all the information you need. Oh, yeah? Okay.
This is the head guy. I'm going to do that, right?
I always burn up there to honor.
Hey, guys, thank you. All right, I'll get these guys right here. This guy right there. We'll be able to have a sign down. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. Spread the message. Not yet.
Yeah, I saw that he was traveling around. I think I vote for God, but sometimes I don't like the way he says it.
My friend as well. Candace, we got a ride on this. We have another ride.
Yeah, I'm just filling out this thing to give him.
Yeah, but.
Can you wait for a second?
Yeah, you're throwing it. Dave? Dave.
I like the young blood.
Yeah.
Dave.
You gotta go with me. You gotta protect me.
Out there when they're old and they have an old way of
Hi.
Not really.
We appreciate meeting you. Thank you, man. I appreciate you back.
I'm the news director for all the radio stations.
Awesome.
Who should I give my card to?
Give it to.
I'll take it. I'll take it.
I'll give you mine as well.
All right. Hey, Vivek, can you sign this real quick? Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Well, maybe.
Maybe I'll sign it. You're going to drag me out of here. Thank you very much, man. And you have my word about standing for our cause. We've offered comprehensive VA policy. It's practical stuff.
I appreciate that. I'm married to Emily.
You are. Tell him thank you and tell your family thank you.
Captain's Military Academy.
Thank you, man. I'm proud of you. Serving our country. We're at thank you, guys. I appreciate you.
We've had a horrible experience. So what you said, matter of life.
Thank you. That's what we're going to do. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. That's a, you don't stand for a better
We've been
Thank you very much. We'll kind of come back to this town.
building from the ground up for 35 years, and we're back in January to take back the republic, and we'd like your support. And I have a place where you can have free meetings.
We would love that.
Yes, or you can
Tell our team where it is
your
when we come
family
there.
to come stay there too.
We would be honored. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. We're going to come back and be so grateful for you.
We will be back.
With you.
Good to see you.
How are you doing?
We're doing great.
That's good. Hey, have I given you one of my cards?
What do you got?
It's just a business card. If you ever need to get in touch with me or anything like that.
To walk around. See you tomorrow. Oh,
I need to make some new cards.
But when that happened, I was on my time.
Oh, it came in here. I saw it. I noticed it right away. I was like, oh,
He actually, I mean, he.
yeah, shoot me a text. We'll know what something.
We got you down. We'll be in contact.
You trying to go out somebody? Go ahead.
We will be back. We're coming back in January, first week. Okay? Yep. All right. And I'll let him know your concerns, sir. We gotta jump on and we gotta go.
I'm sure if you don't run full sprint at him, you might be able to get in and get a photo.
One meeting, you know, take you to.
Whether you believe this or not. Basically, a lot of that comes out. So, part of it will respond.
All the Kennedys. Oh, but you named Robert Kennedy? I didn't know which Kennedy. Oh, okay. That was when you separated. That's very sweet. Well, like you said, politics is
Oh, it is.
Oh, no, no. I think it's quite.
How is I'm going to get together and talk about what I want to do is I yeah, but he said yesterday, come on, dance, I think he wanted to be a player. Yes, but he said no. He wants you to get back. I'm just telling you what he told us. But the cities will be that way. He's going to go to what? He's not going to choose. So if he's mentally doesn't do it, but as I said last time, these guys fighting the beast. Every individual person public. It's another. I'm trying to find options for people who are good and bad about
Call me. Hi, I'm so sorry to keep you waiting.
Oh, that's all right. I was talking with people. So what did you want to
Ask your thoughts on the 2024 election? What brought you here? You know, what made you interested in the debate? How do you feel about the speech today? The answers to some of the questions? Any additional questions you might have? Your thoughts on the 2024 election?
Well,
Would you be willing to do that on camera? Oh, awesome. Let me just get this set up. If you could actually, that's fine. Let me,
you're going to have to lower it.
Yeah. I'll do that. Just.
Okay.
Just a second. No, I'm not a tall person, so.
No, I noticed that.
Right. I appreciate your patience.
No, it's all right.
You can actually stand just right here. That would be perfect. Trying to not get the reflection too much. Okay, this is perfect.
I'll answer questions that you ask me.
Yeah, that is perfect.
I mean, I don't know that I'll have good answers for your questions, but
no worries. Sorry, so many things happening at once.
well, it is for me too, so it doesn't matter. So.
Okay, great. You can start out with introducing yourself. You know, with your name, your first name, your last name, where you're from.
My name is Paul Poole, and I'm from Fairfield, Iowa, and I'm 68 years old. I've never been very interested in politics, but I'm seeing our country basically going down the toilet right now because enough people aren't standing up and speaking their mind. And although I'm not too much into politics, I see that our country needs to start moving in a different direction, because if we don't, we're going to lose everything that we've had. And there tends to be a narrative especially from the large national sources of our news, which seems to be very distorted from what most people in the country actually believe and think about their country. And I've listened to several interviews with Vivek Ramaswami, and he's a very vivacious young man. He has a lot of ideas about what could improve the country, and I wanted to come meet him personally and hear him speak and feel his energy. And he has a very nourishing energy. I enjoyed the meeting that we had today, and he does seem to have things to try, and he seems to have a strong personality that's not afraid to speak his mind. A lot of people, including myself, always tried to say what was right, but right now I think I just have to say the truth. And if the people of this country don't stand up and start telling others what they really think and feel, then we're going to lose this country. It's going to go down the toilet. So I encourage everyone to stand up and speak out how you truly feel. And that's why I came here, is to see if there is someone that's willing to lead without bending to everyone else's whim, telling us a story and not ever doing the work. And I think President Trump was one of the few people. He kept us out of wars. He did help the people of the country, and that's why I stood with him, even though I didn't enjoy everything that he said or the way he said it. So, but I feel like our country needs to be led with younger people, with a message that's relevant to younger people in this country, because most of the older people have ideas that are from 60 years ago. And although I look to people that actually live what they say they're going to do, if someone tells me one thing and does something else, then they have no integrity. Mr. Trump had integrity. He did what he said he was going to do, and so he was a great leader for our country. And we'll see if Vivek can do the same thing. He certainly has the energy, he has the honesty, and he's willing to say what he truly feels. He doesn't follow a narrative that's told to him by the mass media, the mass media is owned by very few people that are controlling the whole world through a narrative. And I want to see people that actually act on what they say they will do and what they can do and what they're willing to do. And so far I'm very encouraged by Vivek. So that's why I came. And I'm not one who generally goes to anything political, but I wanted to meet the man who I really appreciated all of his interviews.
And what was your impression of him, Vivek, today? Was it kind of like what you had imagined before, watching his interviews, or was there anything like surprising about the way, his thoughts, or the way he spoke, or
I think he has good ideas, and he's very clear on his ideas, and he has an action plan, which I don't see too many other politicians with. So I think, and he has a lot of energy and a lot of sincerity about him. And we'll see over time whether he can follow through on those things. But at this point, he's really one of the only runners that even attracts my attention at all. So that's currently how I'm feeling.
Does Vivek have your vote, or as an Iowa caucus goer at this moment, or
as an Iowa caucus voter? Definitely, I want to see him on the voting roll. So I definitely will do that. But it's going to depend on whether he can keep that up and live what he says he's going to do. If you don't embody it, it's worthless.
And why, at what point, because you mentioned that you were previously a supporter of President Trump, at what point did you feel like you needed younger blood, a younger person, or a fresh face in politics, in Republican politics?
Well, I don't really follow politics, but I listen to interviews, and I've probably heard 4 or 5 of Vivek's, and he intrigued me enough to want to come here. And this is probably the first time I've ever come to something like this. But I feel like we really need some action now. If I don't stand up, what can I tell my kids when the country's lost? You know, so we have to start acting. You know, words without action is nothing. So
do you feel like before you were sort of interested in him, and now coming here and meeting with him in person, that sort of solidified your vote for him in the caucus?
Well, as in the caucus, for that, I want him to be on the rolls that we can vote for him. There's a lot to see yet, and this is early in the game, but I'm at least paying attention to who's speaking and what they're saying, and I feel his energy will give him a presence among the younger generation who are not interested in even participating in the voting process. So we're either going to vote, we're going to stand up for somebody that can actually be a guiding light, and I feel that he has that energy about him. So I'm going to keep my attention on him, but again, I'm not a political person. Most of politics is really boring, and it's just everyone saying things, but they never act on it. They basically lie to people, and then when they get to Washington, they do what everyone else does. You know, they follow the narrative on it, and I don't see too many people standing up and actually doing what they say they're going to do. So I think we have a hope with a younger candidate. We'll see.
One last question. I'm sure you guys are cold, so I appreciate your time. One last question is, one of the breaking news that came out this week is that the Colorado Supreme Court, I don't know if you've been following this.
Yeah,
you have?
Yeah.
How do you feel about that court decision? You know, as a previous Trump supporter, you know, just someone who is not completely interested in politics, but starting to, you know, get interested in, like, how do you feel about that decision?
It feels like people are trying to control. They don't want Trump because Trump actually does what he says he's going to do. He doesn't. He's not financially tied in with anyone else. He doesn't have to follow the narrative because he's independent. And it just shows how corrupt all the other political people are. They're just willing to eliminate someone because they know that he's popular. They're trying to control the narrative. So I feel like it's just showing the dark side of the media and the present swamp of the government and all those people who are following the narrative. So I think it just makes that very obvious to the public, and I just feel like nobody should participate in that. You know, just ignore it.
In the Colorado primary?
In the Colorado primary, yeah. Let Colorado not be a state of the United States because they're not acting like one. So anyway, I'm tired of this kind of shit. It's disgusting when I see that happening. It's not the America that I grew up in. It's just that it's all distorted. It's all part of the narrative of the major news networks. So
I appreciate you sharing your thoughts. I feel that it's important for us to, you know, hear from you and all the people in the state of Iowa and other states as well. So I really appreciate
Oh, you're welcome.
Thank you so much. And would you be able to spell out your first and last name?
It's P-A-U-L.
P-A-U-L.
There's a G, my middle initial, and P-O-O-L-E.
And would you mind giving me your contact information as well? I just do this with all the voters that I interview with, so that if I have any follow-up questions, I might be able to.
Well, you can have my Gmail.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
It's my name, just as you wrote it down, but in lowercase.
Yeah.
At gmail.com.
Oh, so Paul G. Pool? Gotcha. Is there any thoughts or?
No dots, nothing.
Just Paul G. Pool.
I'm old enough to have gotten the first Paul G. Pool.
Wow, it's amazing. Well, that's a lucky name. But thank you so much again for your time and your thoughts.
And your name, in case do you have a card or something?
Yes,
because
I do.
if you contact me and I don't recognize your name,
Of
then
course. Here's my card. I'm a campaign reporter with ABC News. I cover the Trump campaign usually, but today this week I'm covering Vivek.
Okay, well, great. Okay,
Nice
well,
to meet you.
if I didn't have this, I wouldn't recognize you when you contacted me by email.
Yes,
So.
yes, no, that's a good point. I appreciate that.
Okay.
Well, drive safe,
I
and
will.
I will maybe see you
Yes.
in the next event or something like that.
It was nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Surin?
Yeah, Surin, yeah.
Okay.
Appreciate it.